Earlier, I spoke with Michael Silverstein. He's the author of the $10 trillion prize, captivating the newly affluent in China and India. I talked with him about his predictions on China's economy over the next decade.
We expect the Chinese consumer economy to grow from about $2 trillion to $6.5 trillion by the end of the decade. That is roughly 2/3 of the $10 trillion prize. And it's going to be in housing, it's going to be in automotive, it's going to be in food, it's going to be in personal care products, it's going to be travel, it's going to be in education, it's going to be in healthcare. So these are places where there will be 600 million middle-class consumers in China, and they will rock the world.
You've recently made some predictions as to what might happen in 2014. I'd like to get your take on what surprises that you might see in this particular country.
So I think there are a lot of glorious things that are coming out of China at the moment. I think that the new government has staked a position in the ground that we're not going to grow at all costs, that our objective is a 7.5% number, not a 9% number or a 10% number. I think the government has also staked a mass market opportunity. So they have stated that we're going to spread the wealth, we're going to have a middle class outside of the Tier 1 markets. And I think the most joyous thing is that they've relaxed the one-child policy, which to me means that it's quite possible that next year there will be 2 million, 2.5 million incremental births in China, above the 14 million that would have happened anyway.
These changes that you speak about, are they happening slower than you expected or perhaps faster than you expected?
I think China is like an army, and it is marching at a predictable pace. There's nothing that has happened in the last year that has taken the breath out of me or my anticipation of the success of China over the next decade. I have seen incremental changes that have reinforced the things that we wrote about in the $10 trillion prize and the things that we're telling our clients at BCG.
If I'm a multinational firm and I'm running a department focused on Asia and China, and I ask you, who are these consumers that we're trying to target and how are we going to market towards them? I am sure that you have some very fascinating demographics to share with us.
And the biggest thing that the multinationals fail to do is get into the Tier 3, Tier 4, and Tier 5 markets. So they enter Beijing, they enter Shanghai, and that's it. And that's 15% of the opportunity.
The savings rate in China, roughly 50% of the individuals there save 15% or more. It's a little higher than here in the United States. Nonetheless, the savings rate is relatively high for a lot of different reasons. How do we get consumers in China to perhaps, I don't want to say save less, but perhaps spend some of the savings that they've already have? And what is the strategy that companies are using to get them to do that?
So I don't think that in order to generate this $6.5 trillion consumer market, you need to change the savings rate. I think one of the great sources of strength of China is that 15% savings rate. And the fact that even low-income consumers can figure out a way to save between 15 and 20% of their incomes. That is one of the strengths underneath China. It gives you capital for reinvestment, and it allows you to prosper. What you really require in order to get the growth is income growth, and that requires education. In China, there is a perfect correlation between education and income. The educated are getting the good jobs. The good jobs are in engineering and math and chemistry and physics. It is STEM, as they call it in the United States, science, technology, engineering, and math. Those are the places where China, over the next 10 years, will create 80 million college graduates. Now, of those 80 million college graduates, not every one of them is battle ready. And so what China needs to do is continue to invest in quality standards at its universities.